A young man faces off against a group of small monsters, hacking them down one by one. He uses a water spell to clean the innards off his clothes and starts a campfire to dry himself up. Suddenly, a little devil girl with a broken horn appears. He grasps his sword, but eases up as he sees her eyes shining with innocence. Noticing that she's staring at the fish he's grilling, he speaks in her language, urging that she come closer while waving the fish around. She accepts the food, happily munching on it, and seeming to have been starving. To his knowledge, devils that commit crimes are banished with their horns broken off. Guessing that she must have been exiled with her family, he cautiously asks where her guardians are. She says that someone named Rag warned her against coming too close, as wild animals are coming. To his surprise, she leads him deeper into the forest, pointing to where Rag supposedly is. There, he sees a male devil's corpse, and makes sense of her words. She was told to stay away, as his body would attract animals that could hurt her. Perplexed, and unable to turn a blind eye to the sad situation, he begins to chant, and uses earth magic to dig a hole. The least he could do is bury the corpse, a suggestion that the little girl happily accepts. Finishing with a makeshift grave, she thanks him sincerely. He introduces himself as Dale, and her Latina. He picks the small girl up, deciding to take her with him, as his personal luggage weighs more than her anyway. From the edge of a cliff, they see Kreutz, a city that divides the rich and the poor. At the gates, they encounter a guard, who makes small talk with the familiar adventurer, receiving the toll for 2 people. He notices and easily identifies the girl as a devil, but lets the pair pass as he's familiar with the man's capabilities. They reach a tavern, but he knows how troublesome it'd be to pass through the front door. Inside, Rita works hard to serve their customers, while Kenneth cooks the meals in the kitchen. The unlikely pair enter through the back door, and Dale asks to use some hot water for now, promising to explain later on. He uses magic to activate the bath, and with much struggle, he eventually gets Latina into the tub, removing every speck of dirt to satisfaction. Rita appears, having heard that he's caused trouble again, and asking if he has an illegitimate daughter. He's forced to explain how he found the child in the woods, along with her father's corpse. She's given the older girl's clothes, and the two politely introduce themselves to each other. The different language makes it difficult to communicate, but they somehow manage. In the tavern, the customers begin to murmur as they see Latina, but kindly tell her not to worry about them. Meanwhile, Rita looks through the official message board, unable to find a criminal description that matches the girl or the devil man with her. While they confirm their relationship, her identity becomes vaguer. The server offers her some food and asks about Dale's plan. He thought he could bring her to the orphanage, but she argues that an underfunded establishment is unlikely to take care of someone like her properly. Seeing her delightfully enjoy the food, he decides to worry about the concern tomorrow. He takes her to the attic, a cozy space he's been renting. She falls asleep immediately after lying on the bed, the sign of an exhausting journey so far. While thinking about the next day, he dozes off as well, but wakes up to her frantic voice, asking for the toilet. He gets up in the morning, but is stopped as Latina clings onto his arm, worried that she's being left alone. Understanding how scared she must be, he carries and assures her that it's okay. They get her ready for the day, even fixing her hair in cute pigtails, allowing them to hide her broken horn for now. As Kenneth serves their food, the devil mimics his words, greeting them all a good morning. Already a crowd favorite, he gives her a sweet treat, something he doesn't do often. Her eyes shine upon taking a bite, and Rita empathizes with the difficulty of living alone in the woods. After the meal, Dale takes her to the market, wanting to buy clothes that fit properly. As they watch them walk away, the two foresee their attic getting crowded with new items. Unfamiliar with what little girls need, he asks around the market, fortunately finding what they need. He buys her everything she wants, and ends the day completely exhausted. Watching her intently, he's simply unable to accept the thought of leaving her in the orphanage. They return to the tavern with bags of purchases. With Latina asleep, Dale talks about how difficult it would be to care for her, given his status and occupation. Rita leaves the decision to him, but offers to help whenever they can. That said, he doubts that he can properly raise a kid anyway. Just then, the little girl wakes up from her nap. She runs to him with a smile, hugging him, and asking if everything is okay. It's all he needs to make a decision. Sure that everything is going to work out, the adventurer adopts the devil. Someone once told Latina about a rainbow being in the sky when she was born. The rainbow signifies a transcendence of differences, allowing the construction of mutual understanding. Moreover, they're said to be what people see when gods watch them from above. The little girl is filled with worry as she wakes up in the attic alone. Downstairs, Dale is deep in thought about the mission he recently completed. Because of certain factors, he has to take the client to the forest to confirm the completion of the hunt, but he can't leave the girl alone. Just then, he urgently runs up as Latina's voice calls for him. Carrying her back, he decides to take her with him, promising to abandon the client if it means keeping her safe. As he even considers passing on payment to take care of her, Rita scolds him, saying he'll never be able to look after her if he keeps acting that way. Convinced, he simply explains the situation to the child, hugging her tight and apologizing, in spite of her saying it's okay. Before leaving, he promises to return as soon as possible. The older girl teaches Latina how to bid him a safe journey. Mimicking her words and movements, the parent and child parted ways for now. The tavern is as busy as ever, with customers loudly talking about their days, and the owners having no choice but to deal with their complaints and demands. Kenneth notices the little girl walking around, carefully gathering used plates into the back, much to everyone's worry. He intimidatingly approaches, but pats her head in praise. She later receives a jelly dessert as a reward and bids him a safe trip to the store, like she did with Dale. Delighted with how great kids are, he jokes around, asking Rita for 3. The day goes on, and she continues taking used plates, surrounded by everyone's endearing gaze. Her father returns, and she welcomes him home with a bright smile. They take a seat to catch up about how the day went, and he's surprised to hear how she worked hard to help around the pub. She understands her situation well, along with what she has to do. The little girl even managed to make the mashed potatoes he's eating. The days pass, and Dale watches with an irked expression as Latina follows to assist Kenneth, who's looking more like her father than him. He struggles to keep his distance, eager to respect her wishes about learning, and wanting to keep her safe at the same time. As the owner prepares to buy potatoes, the little girl remembers the mashed potatoes she made Dale and asks for permission to come with. He reluctantly stops himself from joining them. Outside, she clings to Kenneth's shirt while walking, but lets go as she's distracted by a man who summons rainbow-colored shapes from his palms. The two are separated before they realize it and frantically run around looking for each other. Dale freaks out upon hearing the news, scorning himself for failing to learn locating magic and running out to look for her. Rita calmly assesses the situation and offers a reward for whoever helps search. Some are hesitant, but follow one man who stands up, wanting to look for the pub's star. In the streets, a few kids find Latina. A boy named Rudy tries to speak to her, but she can't understand their language. They pull on her hand to stop her from running, prompting her to cry. Another girl named Chloe scolds and beats them. They try to clear up the misunderstanding and complain that she resorts to violence too often. Apologizing for not understanding their words, the devil girl uses magic to heal their injuries, and they all stare at her in awe. Their excitement brings them forward, so the older girl reminds them to calm down. As they talk about the few people who use magic in the city, they mention Dale. Hearing the name, Latina manages to let them know what she's lost and needs to return to the pub. One boy recognizes the description. As the adventurers look for the missing girl, the group of children walk to their destination, worried about going to the Southern District, which is supposedly filled with rough people. They immediately explain themselves after encountering a large man, who gently pats the girl's head. Understanding the situation, he invites the children to join them. At the pub, Latina apologizes to Kenneth, who's just glad that she's safe. Rita thanks the kids for taking her home, saying they can visit and play together next time. The man, Gilvester, accompanies them back. Everything is settled, but Dale is still out searching. He eventually returns and is met by his child's tears, apologizing and asking if he's mad. When he assures her that he was just worried, more tears fall, as she admits how scared she was of being alone again, unable to go home. He soothes his daughter, and later he teaches her human words as usual. They go over the word rainbow, and she remembers an old memory where she was told that the gods were watching over her. As such, she'd definitely find happiness. She leans on Dale, thinking about the person who told her about rainbows and promised to watch over her. Dale has a troubled look on his face and considers foregoing work completely. He complains about having to go far to deal with old schemers, instead of being able to spend time with his cute daughter. While he knows that she'll be fine, he can't help but roll on the floor and whine. Handling him perfectly, Rita tells him to take it as an opportunity to buy the child rare candy from the capital. Dale prepares to head out late at night, and Latina wakes up to see him out, promising that she'll hang on while he's gone. Her words, now spoken fluently, give him the strength to leave. Kenneth tells him not to go overboard during his mission, to which he agrees, as he now has a daughter waiting for her to return. At a field, a pilot tells his wyvern, Titi, that they're going to transport an adventurer to the capital, but is worried, as he's heard that the passenger is hard to deal with. Dale arrives and boards the creature silently, remaining eerily quiet during the ride, while the pilot remembers that his predecessor was demoted after getting on the adventurer's nerves. His head is preoccupied, wondering what a nice present for Latina would be. The young man offers him candy, but immediately regrets it, remembering that he got mad before, after being treated like a child. Fortunately, Dale gets the idea of buying her daughter candy instead, and later asks where he bought the sweets. Moving on to his job, he's brought to a mansion, where he greets a man named Gregor like a friend. He asks to meet his fiancée Rose, as she'd probably know what to buy a little girl. He barely stops himself from retaliating, insisting that the woman isn't his fiancée. Hearing the butt about the girl, he's shocked to hear that his friend suddenly has a child, who he's completely engrossed with. He's given a quick rundown of the recent events. While her race might not be a problem in itself, the noble says it might eventually be a problem, how he's raising her while slaying her kind during missions. That said, he's willing to slay even humans, if that's what the job entails. Moving on, he says they've located the servants of the Demon Lord. Since entering the service of a Demon Lord grants unnatural powers, they'll be working together to subdue the enemies. Moreover, he's far from taking over their house, so he's generally free to do what he wants and make a name for himself. They meet with the Duke, who explains the rationale behind their specialized task force. In other words, their mission is an assassination. The group discusses their plan, acknowledging that the job will take a few days. However, Dale suddenly complains about not seeing her child enough. At the pub, Kenneth pushes a lousy-looking shepherd's pie on some customers, offering to give them a discount if they eat it. Hearing that it's the pub star's practice pie, they reluctantly accept. He gladly tells Latina that she sold one, and put the next pie into the oven together. The owner decided to teach her, after seeing the girl looking so lonely while waiting for her father. He tells her about how special she is to him, but her head is filled with memories of being chased away, even blaming herself for Rag's death. Her family was the only people who believed in her, so she lost faith in herself when they died. Hearing the fear in her voice, he offers to teach her how to cook something for her father. Rita says he gained a new apprentice after taking on Dale before. He refuses to acknowledge the young man as his apprentice, arguing that he simply taught him the basics to survive. Just then, Chloe arrives to visit Latina. The little devil asks if they're friends, not even having anyone her age around her before. On the topic of age, the girl asks if she's going to school. Realizing that she's almost 8 years old, Rita guesses that she most likely will, when her father finds out. Meanwhile, the adventurers are walking through the hot forest. They see a group of dragons, likely from the Demon Lord's army. With them are a few demons, led by a strategizing woman. Dale gives instructions and begins an incantation, causing the surrounding cliffs to collapse on them. The one-sided fight ensues, with the humans overwhelming the demons with an ambush. Even the leader stands no chance against the adventurer, who unhesitatingly ends her life. Meanwhile, news of Latina's shepherd's pie has circulated, and customers are ordering left and right, even expecting that the little girl will serve them herself. She takes the order out, and is immediately showered with praise from the known brutes. At the mansion, Dale insists on leaving right away, as his mission is finished. Gregor gets him to stay a while longer, reminding him of the presents he asked the maids to prepare. He rushes back home after, bursting into the pub and looking for his daughter. Reunited, the two hug each other excitedly, healing each other's hearts. Latina suddenly runs back to the kitchen, leaving him behind and making him consider eradicating all demons to spend more time together. She comes back out, carefully carrying a tray of her shepherd's pie, saying she did her best to make it for him. An adventurer tells Dale about his rough day at work, when Latina appears and notices the wound on his arm. She uses magic to heal him, much to her father's surprise. At night, he praises her for her ability, then explains that only a few humans, including him, are able to speak the devil language used to cast spells. The little devil asks why her race doesn't interact much with others. Knowing the reason, he avoids answering and asks if she'd like to learn more magic. For now, He begins by turning water in a glass into ice. The next day, Dale hugs her tight. While she nonchalantly waves goodbye, he's distraught over separating from her. He convinces himself that it's a trial he must endure for his daughter's sake. She meets with Chloe, who brings her to the Temple of Asfar, where they attend class. In the classroom, the boys are talking as usual, with Rudy complaining about studying for 2 years. The friends greet each other a good morning, but the boy is quickly scolded for whining shamefully. Just then, Sylvia from the Western District suddenly asks if Latina is a devil. Her interest in the girl's horn makes Chloe defensive, much to her confusion. Before they could talk more, the teacher arrived and told everyone to take their seats. She proceeds with her introduction, but somewhat has an excessive and disturbing tone. At the pub, the little girl gives Dale a new dish she has prepared. On her first day, she learned several new things, and even made a new friend. The next day, the friends play around before class, and Rudy catches Latina, calling her slow and easy to prey on. Annoyed, she whines that he always goes after her first. Meanwhile, Chloe finds it weird that he doesn't realize what he's doing. As the teacher calls them for class, they talk about how they dislike her. During her stern lecture, she notices the devil's horn and pulls the girl up by her hair, demanding to know what she's doing in a human settlement and calling her an accursed abomination. She swings her around, indoctrinating the children's minds with prejudice against the race. Chloe and her other friends stand up for her, but are threatened with excommunication. Just then, Sylvia dares her to excommunicate her, certain that her father wouldn't stand for students being called monsters. Although the crazy teacher is driven out, Latina's head is muddled with doubts. She asks another teacher what the difference is between her and humans. Hearing about how devils live twice as long as humans, she returns him with stricken eyes and runs to her room without another word. With her mind corrupted with hate for herself, she grips her horn tight. Worried, Kenneth checks on her and is shocked to find her bleeding on the floor, her horn torn from her head. He runs down, crying for anyone who can use healing magic, just enough to stop the bleeding. After an adventurer's help, he rushes her to the hospital in the temple for treatment. Dale follows right after being informed, not understanding what happened. Leaving things to him, Kenneth returns home to update Rita and their regulars, who are probably worried sick. Latina wakes up and cries while renouncing her race. She questions why she was born that way, when even her own kind sent her away. Only the citizens in the town accepted her. But even then, she'll be left alone after living for far longer. The thought of surviving alone again makes her tremble. Now understanding, he says he'll probably die before her regardless, given his age and career. He's grateful to have met her, since he can spend his limited time on Earth with her. It's something he'll never regret happening, a sentiment she shares. Now soothed, the two share how much they love each other. The next day, Dale immediately visits the temple, having spoken to the other children about what happened. As the idea of human supremacy isn't rare, he doesn't argue against it, but adds that the town is full of travelers of various races. The head explains the priestess's history with demons, but it's not a reason to scorn an innocent child. Knowing that it isn't the first time she's done such a thing, he requests the highest punishment, threatening to take the case to the Temple of Amar should she be covered again. With that settled, he returns home. Chloe's come to visit her friend, but slaps her frustration. In disbelief of her almost taking her own life, they hug it out, and Dale hears the two from below. Later, Latina tells her father how happy she is to be surrounded by such kind people, sharing how she forgot for a moment that everyone dies eventually. Satisfied, the two come to the dining hall to celebrate her recovery. He buys everyone there a round of drinks, but the owners take out a bottle of their most expensive liquor, taking the liberty to pour it into their largest glasses. Disregarding Dale's angry objection, Latina walks forward and apologizes for worrying them all, promising that she's feeling better already. Her father gushes over her, and a customer takes his guitar out, asking her to treat them to a song. To everyone's surprise, she's completely off tune, a flaw they write off as adding to her cute nature. Dale bundles his daughter up for school, giving her endless reminders before allowing her to leave for class. The pub owners find it difficult to believe that he still acts that way every day. At school, Marcel is asking his friends about possible gifts, as it's his father's birth month. They give advice, which only makes things more complicated for him. Latina returns home after school, with a troubled expression on her face. Upon Kenneth's prompting, she says there's something she needs. The little girl later sends off some customers, leaving the adults impressed. At first, she had to be taught the simplest things, but quickly learned after being shown once. They ask if anyone ever taught her things, the way they do now. She says that things just weren't decided where she was from. Confused, they ask her to expound, but she stops herself from saying more. Instead, she asks for permission to go to Chloe's house after school. One afternoon, Dale is delighted to return before sundown, but is disappointed to see that his daughter hasn't returned from her friend's place. He tries to convince himself that it's okay, but plops down on his bed. Hearing that Chloe's family are reputable tailors, Kenneth says it explains everything. At their residence, the two friends are eagerly practicing sewing. As night comes, Latina returns to the pub, proceeding to serve customers as usual. Dale jokingly asks if they're taking advantage of her, but is surprised to hear that she's been receiving wages for a while now. Her father argues that he's never seen her with extra money, but falls silent as he hears that she must be saving for something. He lethargically goes to his room. As the little devil talks to a customer about snow, a couple of strangers murmur behind her, talking about her race and price in the market. Gilvester notices them speaking and follows them out, saying he'll ask the sky to snow for the little girl. Latina runs to the attic, planning to give something to her father. Upstairs, Dale is despondent, unable to understand why his daughter is saving for something, instead of asking him to buy it. She suddenly takes a bag out, saying it's a late present for his birth month. She made it herself, after hearing Sylvia say that gear with embroidered insignia is the trend. It's the reason she's been saving up and going to Chloe's house for sewing lessons. He gladly accepts it with tears in his eyes, saying it's more valuable than any other treasure. Downstairs, Kenneth recalls how Latina said she needed money, wanting to give Dale a surprise present for his birth month. Hearing that, he offered to hire her as an official apprentice, but added that she might be better off studying instead. She says she'll have time for it later, given that she's a devil. For now, she wants to learn a lot from him, and even catch up on his cooking skills. As Dale proudly shows the handmade gift off, Latina notices snow falling from the window. The next day, she's completely engrossed by how the town is covered with a white layer of snow. Since it's her first time encountering it, her father accompanies her outside, where she spends some time running around and playing in the cold. They bring her back inside, prepared with a bath to warm her up. The next day, Dale gives her a few reminders about the snow before going to work, promising to slaughter all the monsters and return home quickly. As he heads out, the two strangers from before walk to the pub. Latina serves Gilvester hot tea to sip on, sharing her hopes for even more snow. Quickly finishing the drink, he gets up to take his leave, thanking them for the warm meal and conversation. Just then, she notices a pouch on his seat and rushes out to return it to the man. With the streets wet from the melted snow, she barely stops herself from slipping. The little girl returns the pouch to the owner, saying she can go back alone, as it's a straight walk anyway. On her way, she encounters the two unfamiliar men, who insist that they have something to ask. Already knowing that they're bad people, she steps back and runs away, but slips and falls to the ground. She recalls Dale's words, saying she shouldn't use attack magic unless she's in danger. As the devil begins an incantation, Gilvester appears, saying he's seen the two boys around. While his words alone are enough to make them tremble, the lieutenant of the police force appears with his men coincidentally. They arrest the two without hesitation, saying they're being taken in for questioning. He later explains that a black market, which traffics other races, has recently popped up. Since a devil child like her is rare, she's become a big target. With a kind smile, he introduces himself to Latina, saying he's heard a lot about her from his daughter Sylvia. They lightheartedly part ways, and Dale runs home after completing his mission, excited to see his daughter. He sees her outside with Gilvester, and quickly asks what they're doing. The man says she returned something, an explanation supported by the little girl's innocent smile. Dale looks at his coat in frustration, saying it's gotten tighter. He's been getting it altered so far, but it seems to have reached its limit. Rita hands him a letter from Teethrow, his hometown. When he notices her looking pale, she suddenly collapses to the floor. Placing her on a bed, Kenneth later shares that they haven't quite wrapped their heads around it, but recently found that she's pregnant. She suddenly gets up, insisting that she's fine and should head back to work. Watching them with a smile, Dale suddenly opens up the topic of moving out with his daughter to give them space as a family. He's told to go as he pleases, but to leave Latina with them, especially since she's a full-time employee. The father complains about not seeing her with extra money and is surprised to hear that she has her own vault at the temple. Just then, the little girl arrives home, and congratulates Rita on the wonderful news. Meanwhile, Dale tells Kenneth that he's heading back to his hometown, showing the letter from earlier. He discusses it with Latina, explaining how he needs to get his coat fixed and that they should get things settled before the couple's baby comes. She unhesitatingly decides to come with him, promising not to cause any trouble. She began packing the next day and asked Kenneth if she could take one of the kitchen knives with her. He suggests buying a knife more versatile and suitable for a trip, and her eyes gleam as she's given permission to spend her money on it. Remembering that Rudy's father is a blacksmith, they give the shop a visit. Inside, she politely introduces herself as his son's friend and asks to buy a knife for someone her size. Kenneth steps in, explaining her trip and the need for a flexible cooking knife. They're led to the back, where he picks 2 knives out for her to choose from. While testing them out, they suddenly hear Rudy bickering with his elder siblings. Her voice shocks them, and he urgently asks why she's there. Latina says that she's shopping for a knife for a trip, and he gets dramatic over her leaving. Hearing that she didn't tell her friends about it, Kenneth explains that it'd make them worry if she disappeared without a word. She talks about going to Dale's hometown and returning by summer. She then picks a knife, insisting that she pay with her own money, as she's been looking forward to it. After a couple of checks, the smith offers to adjust the handle to fit her hands better, much to their appreciation. The next day, she tells the rest of her friends about the trip, leaving everyone excited for her adventure. Meanwhile, Dale walks around town, looking for things that his daughter might need. As he looks around for overcoats and magical items, he relishes the joy of splurging on the Latina. Just then, he encounters a woman named Helmine, who wonders why he's there. Although he didn't want to run into her, he gets an idea and asks for her help to shop, powering through her misunderstandings for his little girl. They reach a magic store, where he helps her pick out a set of mage clothes. She notices how enthusiastic he is, for someone who's supposedly running an errand for someone else. Before parting, she expressed her desire to meet the girl the robes are for, pointing out how excited he was while picking. The day for their departure has come, and the couple reminds them to stay safe. Parting ways for now, she passes through the gates after a long time. Since he doesn't know when her next trip out of town will be, Dale takes a detour, wanting to drop by Rag's cave before heading to their destination. From his words, she knows that he's been there a few times on his own already. She holds his hand and says that she'd like to tell him how happy she is now. They head into the forest path, a single step in, and Latina takes her magic tool out before Dale even senses the magic beasts ahead. He shoots them down and is impressed to hear that she can tell when there's danger. The reason is unclear, but Rag used to say that she's protected by fate itself. Moving on, they encounter the stinky creatures from before, much to his displeasure. She offers to help and uses a spell to shield his entire body from their stench. With this, he's completely free to fight up close, without worrying about getting covered in their fluids. After a while of fighting, they soon reach the grave. Kneeling down, Latina touches her head to eat, speaking and telling Rag about all she's gone through recently. With that settled, they exit the forest and make camp nearby. She successfully starts a cooking fire, using all of Kenneth's lessons to guide her. With his approval, she takes over cooking duties completely, feeding her father delicious food. He then recalls his time in a party with Kenneth and how he felt that it was much better to travel around with someone who cooks well. Hearing this, she promises to catch up to his skills eventually. At night, they bundle by the fire, and she talks about the experiences she told Rag about and how she assured him that there's no need to worry, as she's completely happy with her life. Dale and Latina continue their journey to the boys' hometown. Upon reaching the city, Latina is immediately thrilled to see that the city feels different from Cruez and is excited to try new things. That night, they eat dinner at a tavern where Latina savors a delicious meal. Inside their room, Latina writes diligently in her diary about their trip, which Dale can't help but be curious about. However, she refuses to let him see what she's writing about as she's embarrassed. Dale wonders if she writes anything about him at all. While he's deep in thought, the girl requests to sleep beside him as she feels unsettled in a new place. The boy agrees and offers to teach her gravity magic as well. He then uses gravity magic on the bed and moves it closer to his own bed. The next day, the two continue their journey and soon will reach the port town, Cuvale. Latina is so excited to see the sea for the first time. Arriving at Cuvale, Dale mentions that the people of the town deeply believe in Azrak, the blue god that governs trade and the ocean. Inside their room, Latina asks him if they can send a letter to Cruez, as she wants to write letters for Rita and her friends. He confirms this, and tells her that they should explore Kuvale more so she can write her experiences in the letter. The two then stroll around the town, and the girl can't help but be fascinated by the beauty of the town and the different new things she's seeing. As there are many people around, Dale asks to hold her hand to avoid her getting lost, and they walk together hand in hand. That night, Latina wears her favorite dress to dinner and asks to hold the boy's hand once again. She can't help but be excited upon seeing the restaurant, but tries her hand to contain herself and act like a young lady, much to Dale's amusement. While savoring their dinner, Latina notices the performer in front, who has the same bangle as her. She wonders if the woman is from the demon tribe as well, and if she knows the meaning behind the accessory. Seeing her curiosity, Dale calls for the waiter and whispers something. Later, Latina is writing a letter to Chloe about her adventures in Kuvale. They then hear a knock at the door, and Dale opens it to meet the waiter yesterday and tells him that he'll meet the guest later in the evening. Latina inquires about the man, and he replies that the waiter sent a message for him. He then reveals that they will meet the performer from the restaurant, which uplifts Latina. Later, they finally meet the woman, and Latina introduces herself from the demon tribe who recently got her horn broken. The woman seems shocked by this revelation and asks what happened to her. Dale shares that he found her after she lost her parents. At that time, she was wearing the same bangles similar to the performer. The woman tells him that in her hometown, the bangle is a present from parents to their kids, and then she reveals herself to be a demon. She introduces herself as Glaros and shares that she met her human husband while traveling around the world. She also mentions that she came from the country of Basilio, which is governed by the first demon king. The children are usually taken care of by their mothers, unlike humans who live together after getting married. It is also difficult for women of the demon tribe to get pregnant, so having a child is a miracle. The fathers usually engrave their names on a bangle and give it to their children as a sign of gratitude. Latina then writes what she remembers engraved on her bangle and gives it to the woman to read. The woman reads it as Smagarati, which translates as emerald. They suspect that the foreign word is Rag's full name, as there is a tribe that shortens their names. The woman clarifies that the bangle custom is exclusive to the first demon tribe and not to the third and sixth tribes. Knowing that she's curious, Dale explains that the third demon king, who is also known as the Devil Lord of the Sea, had a treaty with the eastern frontier and the waterfolk. The sixth demon king is called the Giant Demon King because of his big physique. The woman also adds that the first demon king was killed by the second demon king, and this caused trouble in their hometown, which is why she left Basilio. The town isn't governed by a demon king right now because of this reason, and many are still afraid to face the wrath of the vicious second demon king who loves death and killing. She further elaborates on the other demon kings, the fourth demon king who carries plague, and the seventh demon king who loves war. They are the reason why people think that all demon tribesmen are evil. After realizing it's late, the woman bids goodbye to the two to prepare for her job. Curious, Latina asks Glaros what happened to her husband. Glaros reveals that he died but had a long life, but unfortunately, they weren't blessed with a child. She says she didn't regret meeting him, and hugs Latina as if she were the child that she didn't have. On their way home, feeling her sadness, Dale carries Latina, saying that he wants to dote on her a little bit more. The next day, as they are resting in the middle of their journey, a beast man appears to greet them. Dale introduces Latina to the beast man named Joseph, who turns out to be his relative. He explains that the beast man's mother is his father's cousin and leads her to his relative's village. Inside the home, Dale can't believe that Joseph has a 2-year-old daughter now. As the two men catch up, Latina helps Joseph's wife in the kitchen. Soon, the dinner is ready, and it wakes Maya up from her sleep. Latina greets her and introduces herself. While eating, Joseph tells them that the men of the town will go hunting tomorrow to get enough meat supplies with the blessing of the god. Upon hearing this, Latina drops her food, much to the worry of Dale. That night, Latina scoots closer to Dale in her sleep, wishing that they would always be together. The next morning, Latina picks up her food. Maya feels upset, and the beast child begins to cry. Ute tells her that children are usually sensitive to other people's feelings, and that she should cry if she feels like it. With this, Latina begins to cry in Dale's lap. Later, Joseph and the villagers go back after a day of hunting with 2 gigantic boars. Latina confides in Dale about a prophecy from her youth, revealing that she was considered an ominous child, which led to her banishment from her birthplace. She remembers that her family tried to protect her, but her father died because of her. Because of this, she can't help but think that the prophecy about her is true. Dale assures her that the words of the gods are usually hard for mortals to understand, so they are not necessarily the truth, as he does not see her as an inauspicious girl. He then hugs her, consoling her for feeling bad about herself. Just then, Maya arrives, taking Latina away to play. Dale reminds them not to play outside the village. The next day, Maya gets upset when Latina bids goodbye to them as they set off to Tethro. In the middle of the forest, they are suddenly attacked by a barrage of arrows, and Dale instructs Latina to maintain the gravity magic to protect them. The boy blocks the arrows and manages to avoid the traps. After unblocking their path, Dale sees his grandmother, which immediately puts him in a bad mood. He turns around and tells off his mother and father for setting traps for his own son. Latina misunderstands the situation and believes that he doesn't get along well with his family. Seeing that he's with a cute girl, the mother apologizes to Latina for scaring her. Dale leads the girl to his house and tells her about their custom of removing shoes inside the house. Grandma welcomes him and comments that he came back a little more mature. She then asks where he encountered the little girl. He replies that he picked up the girl in the forest. Latina introduces herself formally to the old woman, who remarks that she appears more mature than her foolish grandson. The little girl quickly defends Dale, telling the old woman not to speak ill of him. She also scolds Dale for his behavior towards his grandma. Observing her pout, the two adults can't help but comment on how adorable she is. Later, Dale talks with his father about how he met Latina, and the old man lets the girl call him father as well. He then tells them that Dale's brother York will be marrying the daughter of the village head, Frida. Just then, York arrives and greets Latina, impressed by how well-mannered she is. As the family is having their meeting, Latina is dozing off, so Dale suggests she sleep first. Later, as he sleeps, he suddenly hears the little girl's cries after having a bad dream. He hugs her, saying that he won't leave her side again. The next morning, Dale's mother sees him sleeping with Latina and teases him for his preference for girls. The boy vehemently denies this, saying he's just being a guardian for Latina. He reassures the girl that his family is simply teasing and clarifies that she became anxious because of being left alone in an unfamiliar place. With tears welling up in his eyes, he expresses that she's his sole source of comfort in their stressful home. Chloe and the others receive a letter from Latina, assuring them of her well-being. She updates them that they've reached the village of Tithro, describing it as a beautiful place with stunning scenery. Currently, she's studying under Priest Cornelio, and Clarissa, the priest's daughter, is teaching her how to bake cookies. Latina also shares that Dale has a lovely family, mentioning that his younger brother is soon getting married. Excited about the upcoming event, she shares that she's preparing her best dress for the occasion. She also wishes Rita and Kenneth well with their baby on the way. Latina is helping Dale's mother prepare some pastries and tells her that she wants to learn to cook Dale's favorite food. She agrees and asks for her age. Latina replies that she's almost 10 years old, and the woman comments that children can grow up so fast. Just then, Grandma enters the kitchen and invites her to see the place where they train their hunting dogs. Latina is thrilled to see so many dogs, as she thinks they're precious. She then holds one and can't help but be happy with how adorable it is. Meanwhile, Dale is hunting in the forest with his brother and some of the villagers. York urges him to take command, but Dale refuses, saying that it is his role as the next head of the clan. Dale reminds his brother that his role is to fight outside and protect the village. After arriving at home, Dale learns that Latina cooks something for him, which puts him in a good mood. In return, the girl also compliments him for the successful hunt. Later, Dale talks to his father about York feeling guilty about taking over the leadership in their clan. The people think that the older son should lead, and that York should have been the recce, or the adventurer in the family. However, Dale was able to negotiate with the Duke and come to an agreement. The father then comments that Latina becomes his savior, to which he agrees. Dale then visits Latina and sees that she is writing in her diary. She tells him that she's documenting her memories, so she won't forget them someday. Latina is playing with the dogs, and Grandma comments that the animals are fond of her. She then leads her inside the forest, as she wants to introduce her to her friend's place. Seeing what's hidden behind the bushes, she immediately perks up. Meanwhile, Dale asks his mother about the places where Grandma has been taking Latina, prompting him to start investigating. Later, Latina once again ventures out and requests a piece of dried meat from Dale's mother before heading into the forest. Unbeknownst to her, Dale stealthily follows her. Upon witnessing her feed a wild beast, the young man admonishes her for approaching a wild creature so recklessly. The creature becomes enraged at Dale for scolding Latina, revealing itself to be a mythical being. Latina apologizes to Dale for causing him concern, explaining that it was meant to be a secret between her and Grandma, but she couldn't resist visiting her new friend. Latina apologizes to Dale for causing him concern, but he acknowledges the rarity of encountering mythical beasts in a human village. Nevertheless, Latina reveals that the creature's family also resides in the forest, which surprises him. She guides him to the pack and introduces them as the Tenshoro. Dale grasps the situation and believes that the mythical creatures have forged a pact with Tithro to coexist peacefully. As long as neither side breaches the pact nor encroaches upon each other's territory, the promise of peace will remain. Dale is astonished to witness Latina's rapport with the mythical beasts without resorting to magic. He smiles, confident that this experience will greatly enhance her growth. As long as no one breaches the pact and no one invades each other's territory, the promise of peace will remain. Latina wears the traditional outfit of Tithro for the wedding. Dale can't help but praise her for being adorable. Finally, the bride arrives, and Latina comments that she's very beautiful. Looking at her, Dale thinks that no one is good enough to marry his daughter. In the middle of the celebration, Latina goes outside to check on Dale, who seems lost in thought. Seeing her worried about him, he brings her near the falls where York and Frida had the ritual ceremony. He remarks that York will make an excellent clan head. Recalling the concerns when Tithro's leadership changed, they anticipated more unrest. So with Priest Cornelio's assistance, they negotiated an agreement with an influential figure in the neighboring country of Laband, Duke Erdestedt, to deter interference in Tithro. Dale, a rare individual blessed by several gods and the heir to the clan, took on the responsibility and embarked on adventures to prevent invasion and safeguard their village. While taking on the role, Dale couldn't help but kill many and felt so lost until the day he met Latina. For the first time in his life, he finally found someone he really wanted to protect. At present, he tells the girl that she saved him and that he's lucky to have met her. Back in the house, Dale sulks at the thought of Latina potentially becoming a bride in the future. He declares he'll defeat anyone who tries, prompting Grandma to humorously volunteer to find a suitor, which only adds to his sulking, but brings laughter to everyone else. Latina is with her great-grandmother, Wendelgard, and they get into a conversation about Rita having a baby soon. So Wendelgard suggests that they make a Kirmizi charm for her good luck. Latina goes into Dale's room, where he tells her that they can now head back to Kreutz. This saddens Latina, while she misses all her friends back home, has a hard time saying goodbye to everyone in Tithro. She asks her dad if he can help out with the charm she's making for Rita, and while Dale doesn't want to, she can't say no to his daughter. Latina is in the forest, in the territory of the soaring wolves, where she tells her puppy friend Vint that she will go back to Kreutz soon. Dale and the pack leader look at their children together as they laugh about the difference between humans and phantasmic beasts. The wolf suddenly shakes his body, so his shedding hair flies around. Dale catches some of it on his palm, and the leader tells him he can have it, and that as long as he has it, other beasts will avoid him out of instinctive fear. Father and daughter head to the house of the resident teacher, Mr. Cornelio, where the little girl thanks the teacher and his assistant Clarissa for their time teaching her. While the women get some cupcakes, the men left in the room talk about how smart Latina is, leading her dad to go on and on about how cute and sweet his little girl is. Cornelio sees how much the young man has changed since the last time he saw him, and now he knows it's because he has found Latina. He comments about how sending the man out into the world was the right choice all along, touching Dale's heart. They return to Wendelgard, and the old lady tells the two that she has a gift for Latina before she leaves. As chieftain of the village, she grants Latina her Tithro name, shocking Dale. This is because names are usually granted once someone grows into adulthood, but the old lady fears she will not last that long. She tells the little girl to keep her name inside her so she can ask her dad what it means once she grows up. Tomorrow comes, and the family is gathered outside to say goodbye to the duo. Latina hugs her grandma and thanks her for the new ribbons she's using on her hair. Dale remembers showing Wendelgard the bundles of hair he got from the pack leader. The old lady reveals that the coats and ropes they have for repelling beasts, that they use for working the fields and traveling, are made from the hair of the soaring wolves, surprising Dale. She reveals that Latina, through her petting and brushing the soaring wolves, helped them gather a bunch of hair that would last a year. This leads to Dale realizing how her grandmother is such a schemer. She hands out the ribbons Latina has in the present, and tells her grandson that she has made them using the finest wolf hair. Dale looks at Latina, wearing the ribbons, and wonders how expensive it is. Father and daughter wave their goodbyes, and as they reach the exit cave, Latina waves goodbye to the view of the land, promising that she'll go back. The two head back to Joseph's house. Maya sees Latina and runs to her with so much energy that she hits Dale's face. Everyone settles in the living room. Dale asks Joseph if Maya stopped crying after they left, only for Joseph to tell him that she cried for a very long time after. He asks if they can leave in the morning before Maya wakes up. At night, as the family eats dinner, even now, Maya is still by Latina's side. As Maya falls asleep from being full, the two fathers quickly separate the two girls from each other. The next morning, the two fathers see that Maya is asleep next to Latina in her bed. They sigh, seeing as their plan has failed. Later that morning, Dale and Latina are leaving fast on horseback, while Maya's kicking and screaming can't be contained by her parents. The father and daughter protagonists then stop by Quale again to rest up. The two explore the streets of the town, eating the street foods and sightseeing. They then head to the outdoor market to buy the souvenirs. Latina sees a mirror and thinks it would be a nice gift for Rita. She pulls out her own money and gives it to the seller. Later on, as they enjoy drinks by the sea, they talk about how Rita would love the gift. They then see the crowd looking at a beautiful noble woman passing by the street. Dale realizes that it's the Rose Princess because of the pink color of her hair. He tells his daughter that he has heard a lot of stories about her, and that she is known for her unique hair color. Latina learns from Mr. Cornelio that people who are born with strong magic powers have bright hair and colored eyes. She remembers that she was born in a land where there are a lot of people with magical hair. Dale says that the Rose Princess's eyes are also magical indigo, and that she's a high-ranking priestess in the Church of Neely. He asks how much magic Latina has, but the young lady says she doesn't have much. She says that most people with magical traits in her hometown have purple hair. It isn't long until father and daughter are looking at Grace on a distant hilltop, glad that they are back. Latina enters the front door of the dancing tabby cat, much to the joy of Rita at the counter. Rita asks where Dale is, making Latina realize he isn't by her side. The man enters at the back door, where Kenneth greets him. Latina sees this, and she is upset because her dad ruined the moment of her being the one to tell Kenneth that they're back. Kenneth comforts the little girl and tells her he is glad to see her. Later on, once the pub is active, Latina shows herself to the regular group of loud drunkards. They plan to drink the night away in celebration of her return, while Latina serves the customers. Rita and Dale talk about how he and his daughter have matured since they returned from the trip. Dale remembers all the good times on the trip, and he is glad they did it. Latina returns to the Asfar school, where Chloe sees her, and is glad she's back. She shows Latina that she has a necklace with a black gem, made from the little girl's broken horn. She tells her that while she didn't know what to do with her broken horn before, Rudy appears to her and volunteers to make it into a necklace. Later, in the classroom, Sivia also greets Latina on her return, and she's excited to hear about all the stories of her trip. Back when Latina and Dale were still on the road, the little girl sensed dangerous people hiding behind the trees. Dale thinks it might be bandits and wonders if he should intervene, considering that their target is likely the man with a horse and carriage and not them. Dale charges to the trees as he prays for help from the god of Earth. He dodges all the arrows coming at him, and he fires his own. The god of Earth turns out to have sunk the land behind the bandits, and while they are distracted by the sudden event, the recce takes them down. This bandit event turns out to be a tale Latina is telling her friends, and Sivia loves it. Latina then hands over the gift boxes she got for Chloe and Sylvia. As they look at the objects, Latina also tells them that she has one for herself, so they all match. Back at the pub, Dale tells Kenneth about the bandit incident, and how he needed to fight off the bandit so Latina wouldn't be disappointed in him. Rita comes in, thanking Dale for the Kermesi charm he and Latina made for her. Dale explains that it's good luck given by the god of fertility. Rita puts her hand on her tummy and hopes that her baby will be born healthy. Back at school, the kids are in the middle of lunch break, and they all gather to listen about Latina's trip. Latina notices that Rudy has a piece of her horn and asks him why he's wearing it. The blushing boy tells her it's because it's rare. Despite the others knowing why he actually has it on, Latina is none the wiser. Later on, Chloe, Sylvia, and Latina walk home together. The little devil sees a cat pass by, and she gets excited. Later on, as Latina goes through her pub chores, all she can think of are cats. Dale sees that something is bothering her. She tells him that she is thinking about cats a lot, and knows that they gather at the market at night, so she's disappointed that she can't go out at night. Gilvester tells the little girl that he knows someone who has a lot of cats that she can go to. The man with the cats is Gojo Shihesu, who came from a different country. Dale thinks the name sounds familiar, so Kenneth tells him he is known as someone who helped out on many adventures. Dale also remembers him as someone who went to his grandfather's funeral. Father and daughter go to Gojo's house, where the little girl is on cloud 9, seeing the many kittens. Upon seeing Dale, Gojo instantly realizes that he is Wendelgard's grandson. While Latina plays with the cats, the two talk at the table. The man remembers his grandfather Reinhardt, and he reminisces about how skilled he was as an adventurer. The two bond, not knowing why he picked Wendelgard as his wife despite being so popular with the ladies. Dale notices the pipe Gojo is smoking and how similar it looks to her grandmother's. Latina hears what they're talking about and tells them that her pipe was something that Grandpa made. As Latina goes back to playing with the cats, Gojo goes on about how he went into selling foreign goods after retiring as an adventurer. He tells the man that he is having trouble with his trade business because people in the country have a cultural difference in how they approach visiting temples. He goes on to say that in his home country, they have a tradition of celebrating a child's healthy growth at the temple, and that the child wears a special outfit once they reach about Latina's age. He thinks it would be nice if the country they are in now adopted the same tradition. He shows Dale the Japanese-like ceremonial robes the child wears and asks if Latina can try them on. Dale is reluctant for her to wear it, and Latina agrees since it's too expensive. This only leads the dad to tell her that no money is a waste when it comes to her. Latina wears the ceremonial robe, leading Dale to be excited at how cute she looks. Gojo doubles down on how the country should adopt the tradition, but Dale tells him he doesn't have the influence to pull it off. However, Gojo believes that in 10 years, the young man will have great influence, and so he'll be patient until that time comes. Latina shows off her new dress in the pub, leading to many compliments. Dale remembers Gojo's words about him having influence in 10 years, and he goes melancholy about how grown-up Latina will be at that time. Meanwhile, at the Thrash Forest, Vint is missing Latina, and so he tells his pack leader father that he is going to see her. This leads to an argument between the two since the puppy is still too little to travel. Dale is surprised to see that Helmine is at the pub, making Latina uncomfortable. Despite the mage being glad to meet Latina, the little girl shows only disdain. Helmine asks if the pub can spare her a room, making Dale frustrated that she is staying. She tells him that since he is going with her to the royal capital next week, it's best to be near him. Latina doesn't like what she's hearing and goes to Dale to hug him. She asks if his job means he is going away for a while, so Dale tells her that it's unfortunately true. Seeing the father and daughter having a moment, Helmine leaves the room. Latina asks her dad who the woman is, and while he tells her that they are only colleagues, she can tell she's more. Later, Dale is in the attic bedroom, reading the official royal note that came from Gregor that reads that something is going on in their neighboring territories, and so they are expecting an army of demons to appear. Due to this, Dale is expected in the royal capital alongside Helmine. Meanwhile, Latina is at her table studying. While Dale can sense she's in a bad mood, the girl insists there's nothing wrong. As Dale leaves, the little girl instantly shows an angry, pouting face. Later that night, Helmine catches up with Gilvester in the pub. The group of drunkards can sense that something is bothering Latina as she serves them their food. They look at Helmine and instantly know she's worried that the lady will take Dale away. They then comment on how beautiful Helmine is and how big her bosoms are, which only angers the overhearing little girl. As Latina goes to Gilvester to check if he needs something, Helmine comments about how she needs to value her youth and not work so hard, frustrating the little girl more. The next day at school, Latina expresses her frustration with Helmine to Sivia and Chloe. She tells them how she hates how the woman keeps talking about how little she is, and how she wishes to grow up faster since she doesn't need to be away from Dale anymore if she's an adult. Rudy overhears their conversation and teases her for being little out of jealousy. This only makes Latina down. Later on, as Latina and Kenneth are cutting potatoes, the little girl asks him if he thinks she will get bigger when she gets older, but the man doesn't know what she's talking about. Latina then goes on to talk about her mother, Mauve, and how she is not big despite being an adult. This makes Kenneth realize the girl is talking about her bosom, and he becomes uncomfortable. He suggests that she drink lots of milk for a bigger bosom, making Latina determined to do so. In the Thrash Forest, the soaring wolf pup, Vint, lures a bear into a pit of spikes. His pack leader father and Wendelgard are watching him do it. The old lady tells the wolf that Vint wanted help to prove his abilities to his father, so she helped him. She convinces the pack leader to let Vint see Latina, since it might mean the little girl would return to their forest. Back at the pub, Dale is alone, drinking in the bar, thinking about how Helmine's being in the pub is making Latina smile less. Helmine interrupts his moment and joins him. They talk about their history, and Dale suggests that she finally settle in with a guy. As they drink more, the woman gets serious and tells him that it's hard for her to settle with anyone, since because of her lifespan, as an elf means she'll outlive her partner and feel pain. This leads to Dale thinking about the time when Latina was crying, since the girl was worried about being alone. He asks if Helmine will take care of his daughter once he's gone, but the woman is adamant in saying she won't. She tells him that if he cares about her daughter, he should strive to live as long as he can instead. The next day, while walking home from school, Latina comes across Rudy, and they walk together. The boy apologizes for what he said the other day, and Latina forgives him. They go on to talk about their friends and what everyone will be doing once school's over. Rudy tells her in a serious moment that he plans to be a town guard, since it is the only way he can compete with adventurers with magic powers. Latina is glad to hear it, and tells him that she knows a lot of town guards who are always at the pub. The boy asks what she wants to do when she grows up, but the girl is speechless, not knowing the answer. Later, while Latina helps Dale with packing, she tells him she wants to grow up fast. However, Dale wants her to be little as long as she can. He tells her that he will return home from his trip after a month, so Latina tells him it's okay. This makes Dale remember that "it's okay" is the first word Latina can speak in their language. He tells his daughter that they should spend time together tomorrow since it'll be their last chance before the trip. Tomorrow comes, and it just so happens that it is pouring rain while the two travel by horseback. The rain stops as they arrive in the forest. It turns out that Dale led her to the grave of her original father, Rags. As Latina approaches the grave, Dale promises the dead father that he'll always take care of their daughter. Latina remembers Rags' words of hope that she will find happiness even after he's gone. In the sky, a rainbow appears. Later on, it's time for Dale and Helmine to leave, and so the guy can't stop hugging her daughter. Helmine knows that it will take a while for them to leave if he won't stop hugging his daughter, so she tells him to hurry up. As Dale rides on his horse, Helmine spanks the horse's back, making the animal run. As Latina looks at Dale from a distance, she reminisces about how he saved her from being alone. Time passes, and Rita's stomach begins to hurt. Kenneth and Latina bring her to a doctor, where the woman safely delivers her baby. Meanwhile, Dale is on a battlefield, fighting monsters. Back at the pub, the drunkards crowd the new baby, and the child begins to cry. Vint suddenly comes in to hug Latina, and shockingly, leading the little girl to fall to the ground. As she opens her eyes, she sees that the two puppies are staring daggers at each other. A month or two goes by, and Latina sees Dale running towards her. They hug, having a reunion.